Charleston was once the rage. And the beat goes on. The beat goes on. And the beat goes on. The beat goes on. The beat goes.
Luckily, Alexis Jones comes out of the package ball. Passing it down. Steal underneath. Who's on the field? Sky players. Less than a minute here. Plenty of room in Trevor. Goes around the other side. Shoots. Mercury is 1 for 8.
The beat goes on. The beat goes on. And the beat goes on.
Washington's playing some great ball, but Phoenix got him twice this year. Already got 2 wins off of him.
Howard, the ball fake. Force the hook. There's nothing there.
Sidearm as well. Turnover. Top of the key, but Tierra Crusher Bragg gets it back a little too antsy.
Given some space. Here is Clark. First period. Off. Lloyd, the offensive rebound. She missed the putback. So did Howard. Rebound. Here goes up with the steal. Catching. Celadon bench having a little fun. But Autry goes to the reverse and missed it badly.
More than doubling her points per game from last season. I saw her in the gym every day.
Drums keep pounding rhythms to the brain.
Played hard there by Gabby Williams. Golden for a right side 3. That's an air ball long. Offensive rebound foul. The putback no.
Grandma sit in chairs and reminisce. She's chasing girls to get a kiss. The cars keep going faster all the time. The bum still cries, hey buddy, you gotta drive. And the beat goes on. The beat goes on. The beat goes on. And the beat goes on. And the beat goes on. And the beat goes on. The beat goes on. And the beat goes on. And the beat goes on.
And now for our feature presentation.
I hate you, hate you. I hate you, hate you. Fuck you, prize pig! I hate you.
Fuck you, prospect.
I hate you, hate you.
Fuck you, prospect.
Hate you, hate you.
Fuck you, prospect.
Well, I've had enough.
Fuck you, prospect. All the scam, man, I had enough. Fuck you, prospect. My whole clique about to fuck you up. Fuck you, prospect. Population, we are not the same. Fuck you, prospect. Begin to win and take everything. Logging in, make my picks, I'm about to get this spread. It makes me harder than Candace Parker giving me head. Rage bet, if I don't win, then I'ma come pick you up. Carpooling to the bridge, if we a fam, then we all jump. Betsy not the hope, she rolls her knees or ends up dead. Whatever it takes, I'm trying to make this money with my friends. WNBA season so much free you won't believe. Join in Discord, you can pay a drop support and more. At least I'm kidding, we really winning the ghost of the industry. Johnny and Clyde, they don't want the smoke, we taking all the money, ain't no selling now. Population, we are not the same, we do this every day now. Everybody say, fuck you, prospect.
Hate you,
Fuck you, prospect.
hate you, hate you.
Fuck you, prospect.
Hate you, hate you.
Fuck you, prospect.
Well, I've had enough.
Fuck you, prospect. You can keep your rotten taco. Fuck you, prospect. Not a Johnny, that's tomato. Fuck you, prospect. And if you really wanna win, fuck you, prospect. Come and rock with population.
Fuck you, you piece of shit. Fuck you. Fuck you, you piece of shit.
What is up, everyone? It is Thursday. We got a 2-game slate. Both late games, both starting at the same time, 10 p.m. Eastern. So we got plenty of time today to break things down more. And hopefully we get more props to later in the day, because right now our board is pretty limited, which is unfortunate. But we're going to work with what we got here. Me and Big E are going to try to break this down the best we can for you guys, get some game script theory on these 2 games, and try to find the best props, what we currently have. So how you doing, E?
Doing really well. I'm actually looking forward to really one of these games, but I think both these games are going to be pretty interesting to follow tonight. And it is a bit later locked, so we'll have some casual time between here and there. And fingers crossed, no more bumps. It's been brutal.
Yeah, well, when you have a limited board on top of having only 2 games and then a limited board, yeah, just naturally think you're gonna have concentrated betting on a single prop, so which is gonna move lines. So yeah, we'll have to navigate through that. Recap of last slate Tuesday. Man, it was the brutal day of hooks. And we'll get to I would call her Feezy Collier's hook in the first half due to foul trouble. She turns the ball over, picks up, and then immediately after that picks up her 3rd foul. So she checks out and plays limited minutes in the first half and misses by 0.8 fantasy. As a result, she was just cruising in the first quarter, had, I think, over 12 fantasy points in the first 5 minutes, averaging over 2 fantasy points per minute. But yeah, we'll talk about her in a minute. She's high risk, high reward because of the fouls, but yeah, it's because she's racking up those stocks. And then the other one, oh man, the cover girl from the last stream, Miss Parker, Cheyenne Parker, was absolutely crushing in the first quarter. I think she had 8. I want to say she had 8 points in the first quarter, picked up another 4 points in the second quarter. Sitting at 12 points. Her line was 12.5 points. We all like that line. And she did not score a single point in the second half, mainly because of some weird rotation in the third quarter and then checking in late in the fourth quarter, and Naz Hillman just picking up abnormal usage and scoring in that second half, which was really annoying. And then we mentioned it, Monique Billings being back. She kind of ate into some of the usage in the front court as well. But yeah, that was a brutal hook. But I mean, we move on from that. Now we kind of see, as we get more data on all these teams and the rotations, and we get familiar with the game film and what to expect night to night, we're only going to get sharper and better with those, because a lot of it's guessing right now early on with limited sample size and what to go off of. So yeah, we'll keep those kind of things in back pocket and back of the mind. So, but other than that, everything else went pretty well on this slate. So I'm expecting uh, a really good slate today, especially with this first game. And let's just get into that first. We'll start with I mean, they start at the same time. Let's start with the Minnesota Phoenix game because I think this one will probably like the most on both sides. Before that, let's catch up with chat. Who we got in here? We got two Sean's. What up, Sean Drake and Sean Marino? And usual Base the Wolf. What up, man? Yeah, that intro. Love it, man. Love it. Hey, what up, J. Cole? Sublime. Emerson's Baby Gap shirt. And underrated. What's up, man? Kevin Sykes. And we got Timeout Sports Podcast. Good to see you here again. Parker was brutal, man. Yep. Yep. But yeah, J. Cole, that comeback by Atlanta, they made the game fun, at least to watch, and interesting, and very surprising that they came back to win because they were getting dominated pretty much majority of 3/4 of the game. But that was a solid comeback, and for how bad Ryan Howard played, which I mentioned on stream, you can expect that from her. I mean, that's no surprise, right? She's a very up and down player, volatile. She shot really poorly, but yeah, let's start with this first one. So we have Minnesota traveling to Phoenix, and we just saw Minnesota play on Tuesday in that Atlanta game we were talking about. They made a roster change in that game on Tuesday. They decided to go with the rookie in the starting lineup, Diamond Miller, over Rachel, and so I expect to see the same thing here. And then Lindsay Allen made a return last game too. So I think we should see the same starting lineup. And Tiffany Mitchell played pretty well off the bench in that game, much better than she did in her first game. Just looking at the usage here in that game, no surprise, Feezy dominated the usage, over 36% again. I think she had over 30% usage in her first game. She is everything starts and stops with her for this team. Defensively, offensively, everything runs through her. But like I mentioned earlier, it's the foul trouble. I think she's just such an aggressive player on defense, and that's why she racks up stocks. But as a result, she's also racking up fouls. So it's risky, especially if you want to take first half props because we saw what happened. But yeah, I think she's probably the most trustworthy player on this team. And then Diamond Miller has had a great start this season as a rookie, and her lines are usually pretty low. So, but yeah, with her, she's mainly out there as like a wing and D defender. So fantasy usually like the target for her. And then, man, how bad has Kayla McBride looked? It's carrying over from EuroLeague now into the start of this season. I mean, I expect some bounce back game at some point early in the season from her, but she's just shooting really poorly. She's clearing that 3-point prop though in back-to-back games. Do you trust her enough to go back to that 3-point prop or anything else for her? And what are you feeling from Minnesota today?
Yeah, she's looked pretty bad, that's for sure. Honestly, I'm just not really sure if it just seems like she just doesn't know how to gel with the offense right now. Like she is, a veteran player with the team, but now they have this kind of new look for the team, and it honestly it looks really revitalized as far as the energy and the pace that they have. But she's just such like an oddball on the team right now, honestly. I mean, she has, lucked out for us and cleared that 3-point prop in the last two games. Even though they did pull it on us last game, they actually took that 3-point prop down, but they gave it back to us. Mostly she's just getting there on volume alone. I mean, she's taking anywhere from 6 to 8 3-point attempts. So if her shot's falling, she's probably going to heat up for one of these games. But her first half usage has definitely been low 20s, and overall in the game, I think last game as well, she had just a 24% usage. A lot of it, especially in the latter half of the game, she's taking a huge backseat to Tiffany Mitchell coming off the bench and closing the game out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, honestly, I'll probably risk the biscuit one more time, go over on her threes, and then go under on her full game points or fantasy. She just,
Yeah. Well, you brought up a really good point. So in the first half, Feezy definitely, if she stays out of foul trouble, she's gonna dominate the usage pretty much all game, but definitely in the first half, it seems like even more so. And then the second half, they're definitely leaning on Tiffany to close out, and especially in a competitive game for her scoring. I think second half unders could be also in play for McBride, especially if she shows she continues to struggle shooting from the field, and with Tiff Mitch, and if Feezy's like staying out of foul trouble, both of them we know are going to eat up the usage. So can definitely look to her under points in the second half.
yeah, absolutely. And they've actually been leaving it at attacks a lot of the times. She's been able to kind of squeak out right around 5 or 6 points, but they've been leaving it right at 6.5, and I think even 7 one game as well. So anything at 6 and under, or anything 6 and over, I think is definitely in play for her. And this last game, man, in the second half, she only had a 17% usage, and I mean that was barely above Shepard, basically in the latter half of the game. So that is definitely a good thing for us to be looking out for today.
Yeah. So I'm going to take note of that for us here.
And honestly, in the first half as well, she's competing for usage with Diamonds. Coach seems to kind of let her have a little bit of a free reign in that first quarter. So she's kind of, getting lost in the sauce here. And we've even seen with Powers coming off the bench, her dominate.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah. That's another great point. So, what's up with what's up with her, man? Both games she checks in the first half, plays about 8 to 10 minutes, and then never comes back. And both games, and this is consistent. And it's not due to like the first game. I thought it was just due to performance because she played awful when she was in. But last game she looked great. She was looking like old Powers, aggressive on the glass, especially offensive glass, getting offensive rebound putbacks. And and was getting it done, and then she never came back again. But yeah, she was eating up usage and rebounding, and so that's another great point. What do they have McBride's points at first half? 6.5. Okay,
so left the tax on there. Okay.
and you should expect the same for second half because that's what it's been.
Mhm.
So yeah, don't mind that. And only thing is, what she's probably going to have traffic cone Dino on her, right? Tarasi. So
Yeah.
she's going to have a favorable matchup.
Yeah, I was laughing about that earlier, thinking more than likely, I agree with you that they'll probably have McBride and Tarasi just going back and forth. The old slowies.
And then I imagine on the perimeter, Sophie will be on Feezy and Diamond, and then obviously Griner in the paint will be covering Feezy when she's driving. But yeah, I think you could expect that those matchups when they're not getting switched on and off. Okay, yeah, just keep that in mind. She does have a favorable matchup against Tarasi here, but I think it's a good hedge. Like if you want to take her threes over, and then go under her first half or second of points, because yeah, if she goes over the points, then most likely she probably got a couple threes. So at least you cover your basis there. And then what? Let's go to Feezy. What are you thinking about for her now that her points got juiced from 16.5 to 17.5? Her rebounds went down to 6 flat. And did her fantasy get bumped at all?
It's at 34 flat.
Okay, so it did. It was at 33.5. Okay.
And then they put her first half back up to 17 flat for fantasy.
Okay. What are you thinking for her? She crushed the full game fantasy and obviously hooked the first half, but new game, new day, Anything's possible. Well, let me ask you this: Phoenix 3.5-point favorites. Vegas thinks it's going to stay close, but a lot of these games we've seen early in the season, some teams just come out so flat and get blown out, even with the spread being pretty tight. In your mind, do you think that Minnesota, after that crushing loss, blowing the lead to Atlanta at home, do you think they keep it close and bounce back today, or do you think Phoenix being at home, we know Taurasi is at home, and Griner being probably unstoppable in this matchup, do you think Phoenix just pulls away? And the reason I ask this is if you're on the fence with Feezy's first half fantasy or full game.
So she is definitely that high risk, high reward player. I think that we keep kind of, going back and forth trying to figure out game scripts for her, and I think that alone has probably backed us into a few corners that maybe we didn't have to go into. So for her, honestly, I think that if you're playing her, first off, you're just accepting that she's at foul risk any given night, first off. But the ceiling that she has is insane. I mean, she is a walking 50 burger on any given night with her production. She's been turning the ball over a little bit more lately, especially earlier on in the first half. So that's a slight concern, coupled with the foul trouble. But last game, I mean, she played 8 minutes in the first half and still almost got us there. So if she's playing what I think her normal rotation would be, somewhere around high 15, almost 16 minutes, give or take, in the first half, she's going to drop almost 30 fantasy in that first half alone. So this, for me, I feel like it's the battle of the baddies. We have two 0-2 teams. Both just had brutal losses this last game that I feel like they both probably could have pulled out. And no defense, track meet, Minnesota is one of the highest in fouls and turnovers. Phoenix, I think that their pace is going to be dependent on the front court bodies that they run alongside the team. We need to figure out what's going on with Sophie here in a minute, but I think that for Feezy, we got to go either full game fantasy or you're going points, because she's going to chuck it.
Yep, I agree. I mean, we just saw Phoenix. Yeah, both these teams are coming off home losses, close games. I agree with you on that. They're both going to look to bounce back. But yeah, I mean, Phoenix just gave up 36 points in the paint to Chicago. We know that Feezy gets a lot of her scoring done in the mid range and inside the paint on cuts to the basket. So it's definitely the opportunity is going to be there for her. But yeah, I mean, she does everything for the team's playmaking. She's getting solid on the glass. She's going to get you 5 to 8 rebounds, and then we know the stocks are theirs. So yeah, I probably just I'm going to have exposure to both the first half and full game to account for blowout for the by going with the first half, and then full game for early foul trouble.
Yeah, I like that.
But if you are only playing one card and you had to choose between the two, I would just go full game and avoid the early foul trouble, and just hope that it stays close enough, long enough.
Yeah, agreed.
She came out in that third quarter and went absolutely off like she did in the first quarter, and pretty much cleared her second half fantasy line in that first stint in the third quarter. So you want access to that for sure. I think going forward, I think her lines are still not adjusted enough for her role and usage on this team. I think by mid-season towards the end, I think her fantasy line is going to be up near what we saw all season for players like Brianna Stewart and other players that just did it all for the team and racked up fantasy. So pushing more towards high 30s, low 40s unfavorable matchups, I think, going forward.
Yeah.
So take advantage of it while you can. I think it's still pretty low for a player like her and on a bad team, and she's going to do it all.
Absolutely agree. I almost view her as like a Candace Parker style player on this team. Not to overhype her, but she's definitely got a ceiling like that.
Okay. Anything else from Minnesota? Good old Shep continues to finish with 8 points every single game. I wish it was 8.5 still, but it's at 8 flat, so the under probably has some push potential. And then she cleared her RA last game, but now it's juiced to, what is it, 12.5?
I think it's 13 now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She didn't really get it done playmaking. And now we haven't had her assist prop in the last 2 games, and now we get it. And yeah,
They know.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the playmaking in that last game, it was pretty much everybody on the team had like a handful of assists, right? It was pretty distributed. Diamond had 3, VZ had 5, Shep 4, McBride 3, Lindsay 3, Tiff Mitch off the bench 3. So I don't know. Shep, I mean, she got the RA done because she got those offensive rebounds, but it's gonna be hard, I feel like, to get offensive rebounds here with Griner down there and Brianna Turner whenever she's in. I'm personally in potential foul trouble for Shep here against Griner. I'm gonna fade her, I think, altogether. Did you have a particular prop you were interested in for her?
I think that we could still go back to that first half under points. Whenever we had kind of went back to look at the footage and breakdown for the first half for the last 2 games, I mean, her having just only a 9% usage is pretty insane. And that was, I know for a fact that she keeps getting just a random offensive putback, and I want to say that's where 2 of those points have come from in the last 2 games. But she's just, I mean, a ghost out there in the first half. They don't run the offense through her at all. I mean, it's strictly through Feezy and the guards. So if she's not either getting a really stupid foul to get her for a free throw, she's going to struggle on the glass, and Griner is a stock machine. So I just don't see that happening.
I'm with you on that. I really liked her first half unders last game, and it worked out. Last game, interestingly, her PRA was 9.5.
Yeah, they bumped that today. I saw that.
They bumped it. She hooked. She finished with 9. I don't know. I don't know if they bumped it because of matchup. They think more potential here, but I like the first half once we found out that Diamond was starting, because Diamond is going to eat into rebounding. She's going to eat into playmaking. So I don't know. I mean, I think you can take a stab at it, but I mean, the one thing that we know with Shep is that she does rack up RA. So, but it is juiced. I mean, it went from 9.5 to 11, so I think you can definitely consider that. And then, what do you want to do? Yep.
Just to hit on that as well, Diamond was also in foul trouble last game in the first half.
So speaking of her, I wanted to shift over to her. We took our first half fantasy and paired it with Shep's under first half PRA, and it worked out last game. But it's a little juiced now. It was 10.5, I believe, last game, and she barely got over with 11. But like you said, she got into foul trouble as well. I think she lost out on minutes because of that. Let me look at the rotation. Yep. So she finished with 11 fantasy, and she played 1 minute in the second quarter.
Boy, and that was a beautiful minute. Got that fantasy or that stock for us and checked out.
Yep. I mean, if anything I take for her is fantasy, because like I said, she's out there as a really defensive wing, and she gets the stocks and she gets assists. So I don't really want to trust a rookie for her scoring by itself. So you want to take a stab at the first half fantasy, knowing that she played minimal minutes in the first half and still cleared, and there's definitely stock upside here with Dino passing the ball and turning it over at a very high clip.
Yeah, I think honestly, her best option is going to be that first half, because I mean, just looking at that rotation there, she did not play at all in the second half. But it's just another player you got to go in with the mindset that this is could be risk reward, could get in foul trouble.
Yeah, very aggressive defensively as well. Yep, keep that in mind. Hopefully she can keep her hands to herself. But okay. Let's move on to hold on, let's see what chat's got. Hey, what up, Chatoa? Emerson asked, what about McBride's rebound at 3.5? Okay, so that is interesting.
Yeah, I actually did not even see that they late added that. Because that was one thing that you and I had talked about a couple times on stream already, is how they use her as a sharpshooter, but she's just a big body defender. I mean, she hangs around as kind of like a floating four, but she's gonna be on Tarasi tonight too. So the main person shooting threes, she is gonna have some likelihood to probably snag a few boards here.
And
I don't
Sophie
mind it.
and Sophie shooting threes as well, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, and in Mariah, it's a low line, but the rebounding can be variable in backcourts, so someone else can have a spike rebound game. And we saw Diamond have 8 rebounds in her first game, and then she comes out and
It was one.
second game has 1. So yeah, it's always risky with backcourt rebounding props, but I get it with Phoenix, with Sophie back and her and Tarasi taking quite a bit of threes, but you got to think a lot of points are going to get funneled down the paint too with Griner. So well, speaking of Griner, she's a cover girl. Very, very favorable matchup. We know Minnesota bleeds points in the paint, and that's where she thrives. And Minnesota also fouls at a very high clip, like we just discussed. I think I wish we had a free throw prop. I think she's gonna live at the free throw line tonight. Hopefully she can shoot efficiently from there. And then yeah, like you said, she's racking up the stocks. There's huge stock potential with Feezy drive into the basket. Yeah, and definitely can get there, but she is juiced now. She's up to 40.5 full game, and they keep juicing her first half. It's at 20.8. They keep bumping it by 0.3. It's kind of weird. What do you want for Miss Griner, the cover girl?
I feel pretty good about going back to the full game now, especially with that first half bump adjustment. Her first half rotation still has me just slightly bit concerned, because I feel like she did play 31 minutes last game, but I still feel like she's on a small minutes cap of some per se. Maybe that's conditioning, maybe that's, I know the first game obviously was a blowout, but she just, I don't know. It's right there on the cusp for us. We definitely we got to have those stocks here, and I'm a little worried because of how passive Shepherd is as a whole, but also in the same breath, Minnesota with all the turnovers, fouls, and everything, these are going still in a positive direction for us. So everything, I think, after the fact, fantasy's probably the safest, and for hedge, I don't know. Honestly, you got any leans for that?
For her, I just want her fantasy. I don't want to limit myself to a single prop. So
Okay.
if I was gonna do a hedge, I would just do the first half fantasy to cover my basis for, even with the bump, to cover my basis for a potential blowout or something weird. So yeah, primary full game, I'm with you on that, and then hedge with the first half. Okay, let's talk about the dinosaur Tarasi here. We've always targeted her at home, although her last home game she was kind of disappointing. And I know people were on her RA, especially with Sophie back, and she had 1 rebound, but the assists were there. She hooked her RA. Talk me off of this, but off of this ledge, if I'm gonna do Dancing with Dirty Diana here. The 2.5 3-point prop.
You think it's time for the home game?
Think so.
She is due, man. I gotta say, even though we do rag on her quite a bit, and she is a veteran player. Like, it's insane how actually old she is comparison to a lot of the players, not only around her, but just in general in the league. She's still getting it done. Maybe on paper it doesn't look like a lot of these are transferring directly, but her first half usage is still ridiculous. I mean, she's leading the team in both games so far, and they're still going to lean on her to be that sharpshooter for the team. And not only is that a guard for a team leader and being able to bring the ball up and set the offense, but whenever they're behind, we saw in the last game, they're going to lean on her. BG isn't 100% back to form, so they can't ride her the entire game as far as that scoring upside. But we don't know what's up with Sophie. She only played 19 minutes and took 3 field goal attempts last game. And Mariah Jefferson, she's been kind of ghosting out in the second half so far, so I'm not sure what's up with her. This team's a bit on the rocks right now, I got to say. Even though they have a lot of namesake players, the offense just really isn't gelling at the moment. And Tarasi's RA, I feel like largely is hinging on their 3-point efficiency, because the first half they set the offense with BG. She dribbles a little bit too much, and we're losing out on some of the assist potentials there. And throughout the game, if we're not having Sophie shooting threes or Jefferson shooting threes in the second half, obviously they're just going to put the ball back in Tarasi's hands to shoot. And so, as you mentioned, I think she's going to have one of these games. She's going to pop off for 20-something points here. And we always targeted her at home last year. If Sophie is especially limited again, this game should be close, and she should play all 4 quarters this time.
Yeah, you definitely want Sophie to be more involved in shooting threes for Tarasi's RA or her 5 assists line. I mean, the 5 assist line, it's tempting, but
4.5 was nice.
yeah. I think if I was going to take anything for her, I think I would just take the 3-point prop. I mean, she's consistently taking almost 10 threes in her last 2 games, right? I think I don't think she's going to be driving much here, and just continue to shoot the threes, being at home.
And with McBride on her, setting that pick and roll, she should have a free shot every time.
Yeah. I think I'd go with that. The fantasy is crazy. Like what like 30.5? I mean, wasn't it just 26.5 or 27.5 the other game?
Yeah. Yep.
And she's averaging 5.8 turnovers a game. She had what 7 in the first game and 5 in the most recent against Chicago.
Yeah, and these aren't even like turnover heavy teams. She's just making bad plays.
Why? I would never take that. I mean, yeah, sure, she can get it done if she doesn't turn it over, but like the Sparks, I'm pretty sure she had 6 or 7 turnovers, and she would have cleared that if she, obviously didn't have those, and then she would have hooked against Chicago if she didn't have the 5. But relying on Tarasi to not turn it over, I don't want to do that. Even though she's at home, I mean, she just had 5 turnovers at home against Chicago. So, and we just went over how Diamond and Feezy are stock machines and cause turnovers. So,
yeah,
I can't do that. So yeah, I think if I was gonna take anything, I'd take a stab at the 2.5. But mid play for me because yeah, it's Dancing with Dirty Dinosaur.
For her, I think a solid hedge play would be that first half PRA, just for that huge usage that she has for the offense, and just on the off chance in case this game gets out of control, we know that they will limit some of these starters for Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, speaking of her first half, did you want to take a stab at a first half prop for her? Like her PRA or her fantasy?
Yeah, the PRA, I definitely have a lot of interest in. She, I'm not 100% sure if she lost out on minutes last game. I know she was in a little bit of foul trouble, but she just looked really off after that first quarter. She had a decent first quarter, and the second quarter was just horrible. Um, that she's due for a bounce back game here. I mean, she just can't continue to stay bad. Okay, so I had it backwards. It was okay first quarter, decent second quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that. I noticed a lot of her turnovers came in the second half in both games. So, yeah. Okay. I'm cool with that. First half, taking her first half PRA wouldn't really affect the full game fantasy too. You can still stack it with Grinder's full game fantasy. Okay. And then we saw a lineup change last game. Not only was Sophie coming back, but they went with Onurare over our legend Brianna Turner in the starting lineup. Do you expect the same thing here?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I feel like we just got the exact same player. I mean, Michelle is definitely not any offensive threat.
I mean, she's a
And
3-point shooter, right? I mean, that's all she does.
she is, but the way that the coach is playing her right now, they still just kind of keep alternating between her and Sophie, who goes out to the wing and who, stays around down low. And some of these games, I think last game they had Onyewer out there just to kind of help with some of the double team down low, but she is horrible. And if you followed us for Aussie and overseas ball, you definitely know she was an under machine. So
Yeah, and in the EuroLeague, we took her unders all the time. She was always at like 9.5 points or 10.5, and only way she burned us is if she was hitting her threes. But yeah, I expect low usage here going forward. I mean, it sucks. I was already sad that we weren't getting Brianna Turner props, and now we're definitely not getting them with her moving to the bench. Those good old days. I believe Brianna Turner in her first start, game one, she took 0 shots.
yeah.
And remember in that opening day, I said on stream, on that stream, I said, I don't care what the point prop is. I don't care if it's 2.5, 1.5. I'm taking it if we get it. And yeah, she finished with 0.0 field goal attempt. The good old days, we won't have that anymore. Usage. So yeah, very low usage for Onimare. And then obviously BG and Dinosaur. Yep. So, anything for Mariah, or are you gonna stay away? She also
I'm a fade. She's getting lost in the sauce too.
okay. Let's just stick with the core two, Dino and BG. See what chat's got. Timeout sports bet. Oh, hold on. What up, Io? Good to see you here. Hey, Ali. What up? Test no play. Hi guys. Any under? Yeah, I think the next game has some under potential for sure. What up, Robert Smith? Chatoa. Timeout said Dino had a rebound before she got fouled at the end, and it was credited team rebound. It's BS. I hate that. I hate when a player clearly gets a rebound and then is getting fouled simultaneously, and they just call it a team rebound and they don't credit the person who got the rebound because of the foul. It's really annoying. I wish they would change that rule, but it's the same for NBA too. Test no play. Where do I find the Google sheet Google Sheet link, guys, in the Discord, please. Okay, it is in the WNBA live rankings channel if you are a Prop God member. And then if you're not, then we post the final sheet usually 30 minutes to an hour before lock. Yeah, and if you're not part of Discord, we're talking about here, we post all our final plays and play early leans in our Discord, and the link is down below. If you're not a member, definitely join us, and yeah, come win. J.R. Smith's bullet suit, man, what up? J. Cole, good old days, yeah, man, those were. Okay, let's move on to the coinciding second game here. We have the Monstars, Las Vegas Aces, traveling to Los Angeles, take on the Sparks in LA. We just saw the Aces play. They've only played one game so far, and they absolutely demolished it. And what I think is the worst team in the league, the Seattle Storm. Won by what? It was like 40 points or something like that.
Yeah, they cracked 100.
Yeah. I mean, no surprise. One, because it's the Aces, and two, it was against Seattle, who has like literally no one but Jewel. Yeah, so we saw very heavy minutes in the first half for Chelsea Gray and Asia Wilson. And then the second half, we definitely saw minutes decrease for players like Jackie and Asia. So I think, second half unders, if the game's blowing out with this 13-point spread, definitely jump on that. I think, remind me, because I was at the Giants game on when this game was going on. They pulled the second half props pretty quick once the game started getting out of hand in the second quarter. Is that correct?
Yeah, they were following this game quite a bit more closely than most of the other one, and I think that's just largely, and it's something that's going to be a trend all season, just that name value for the Vegas players. That's something that some guy or somebody is watching their props in that game to pull those real quick.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much, like, it seemed like the players that lost out in the biggest minutes were and pulled and then never returned was Asia and Jackie. And then Chelsea and Plum, for whatever reasons, kept playing, and then Candace Sprinkle and in that third, and then started the fourth. But looking at this, I mean, Chelsea Gray and Asia Wilson played the most minutes out of all the starters in the first half, and then Chelsea Gray by far the most. Nearly played the entire first half. We were on our first half fantasy. She cleared it as well as Asia, but now they have juiced Asia from 20.5 to 22.5. That 22.5 is steep. If you remember from last season with her, we always liked it when it was around that 20 to 21 range. 22.5. I know it's Asia, but now with this new team and Candace being on the team, that's steep. Curious to hear your thoughts on that. And then also with Chelsea playing that many minutes in the first half, I think her first half fantasy didn't really go up that much. I want to say it was 14.5 or was it 13.5? I can't remember for the first game. But if she's going to play nearly 20 minutes, you just need a fantasy point per minute or less from her, and we know she's a stock machine and will rack up the assist. So yeah. Oh, she did not clear the fantasy in the first half. I know she was went off in the first quarter and then I guess faded away in the second.
Yeah, basically. And then Asia and Jackie just took over, and I mean, she basically was just getting some assists here, and I think she got like a bucket somewhere in there.
Oh, I think when I was tracking it, she was like credited with the steal and they took it away or something like that. Okay. So yeah, that's right. She had a steal and they took it away. So she would have cleared the 13.5. Any interest in that? Obviously for Vegas, if you're gonna target anything, in my opinion, you want to go first half going forward in the season unless they're playing like a solid team, like New York or Washington or some other top 3 team, because of just every game is going to have that high risk blowout, and not every game is going to blow out. Obviously, they're going to have off nights, and other teams are going to rise to the occasion. But it's just most nights it's going to have a very high risk blowout chance. So, me personally, I'll give you my thoughts and then hand off to you. I'm gonna stay away from Vegas. I just don't like their construction. The how stacked they are, and guessing which player is gonna go off night to night. It just seems volatile. Like why play a guessing game? Like we want to give ourselves the highest chances of hitting, and that just does not seem like the way. Because we saw Jackie go absolutely off, right? And prior to that, we saw her go entire playoffs with the lowest usage on the team, not even scoring or doing anything. And then you throw in Candace, you would think, okay, she should continue that. No, they let her just do whatever she wanted, scored like 23 points. I think she was the leading scorer on the team. And then watch her tonight come out and put up 10 points, and I wouldn't be surprised. And Chelsea Gray goes for 19, and Plum gets her usual 20. Like, I don't know. Me personally, I don't want to guess that. I don't mind maybe considering first half props for like fantasy, for players like Asia, Candace, or Chelsea, who's going to rack up, fill the stat line. But other than that, yeah, for me, I'm just going to keep staying away from Vegas. I know it's only a 2-game slate, and limiting the pool, but yeah, I'm probably going to stay away. I know Candace is returning to LA, playing her former team, but she's played them a bunch in her career, and she's old, and she's on a team that's stacked. I'm going to pass. I know the narrative's there. Everyone's probably going to be popular today, but me personally, she goes off, but I don't want to trust an old player on a stacked team. What is your thoughts on Vegas, and do you like any particular prop?
No, I did honestly like Asia when she first opened. For her first half, it opened at 20.5, and now after the second bump, I'm completely off of her. She's dominating, don't get me wrong, and I think that she's probably good for 25 fantasy almost every given night, but we are really playing some Russian roulette here, trying to figure out who's going to lead the offense. This last game, as you mentioned with Parker, I feel like she is going to be somebody who's just kind of coasting with the team. It's going to be a push come to shove situation when they need her, when they need to lean on her. She'll be there for the team. But right now, they have way too many people. They don't need her. She's just there to gel with the offense. Long term, she's had a little bit of playtime with some of these teammates, not all the teammates. So, and we know that she facilitates the offense too. So, for her to be in a get right spot, she needs to have more minutes, more conditioning with the team. And even just looking at breaking down some of the film footage from last game, even though they were in a blowout in the second half of the game, she pulled Asia to the side and asked her, like, straight up, like, hey, in this situation, do you want me to let you work in ISO? Do you want me to come over for a double team? Like, what do you want me to do? And she was asking questions throughout basically the entirety of the game. So that alone, and she was mic'd up too. So if you guys didn't catch that, you should definitely go back and rewatch that. Game Pass or League Pass, $25. But that just tells me alone that she still doesn't know the entire offense and is going to take that backseat to Gray and to Plum. And so for me, we saw she took a handful of threes, barely got over her first half line. I think if you're going to play anything for Kansas, strictly points. I'm not messing around with the rebounding and stuff either. Asia, she's in the same boat as Griner here, just on way more of a stacked team. The only prop, I'll say this, if I'm going to advocate for anything, it's going to be Plum's second half PRA. And let me tell you why. She had shoulder surgery on the off season, and I was a little stumped about why she checked in super garbage time last game. and it is for conditioning. Coach wants her to stay around that high 29 to 30 minute marker, and she was out there, no starters on the floor. She actually hit 2 threes and a couple of her buckets there to kind of really stat pad, and she got a handful of her assists there at the end of the game. But I think she missed out on conditioning in the offseason from that shoulder surgery, and coach is trying to get her back into the swing of things. So keep an eye out on that. I bet she closes most of these games in this first part of the season here.
That's a really sharp call. A really sharp call. I would have just gone unnoticed here. You can clearly see what he's talking about on this rotation chart. She was the only starter to close that last 3 minutes in the blowout, and she was playing alongside of all the bench players. I like that a lot. That's solid. So I'll definitely consider that, and even her just straight up points too.
Yeah, and you could use this. I think if we feel like the game's slipping away pretty quickly, and I don't want to, and I definitely want to put this disclaimer out first off. These teams play competitive games. If you look at their history, typically, especially in Sparks Arena, the games are a bit lower scoring, but they have been very close over the last couple of seasons. So don't go crazy as soon as that second half board drops. Like today, definitely we need to follow and watch.
Yep. And then notable mention here, I want to give Underrated a shout out. He's been grinding film nonstop, and he is gathering the community a ton of data for assist potentials, since we're not provided with that from WNBA like we are with NBA. And for me, it's one game sample size, but in that first game, he found that Jackie Young had one of the lowest assist potentials on the team. A lot of the potentials were spread out among the starters, but Jackie had the lowest. I think she had 4 potentials. So unless she's converting at a very high rate on those potentials, let's say she hangs around on average night to night around 5 potential assists, that 4 assists is going to be hard to get over, especially with all these playmakers. But maybe, it just depends on, like, the first game she was in score mode, right? And she dominated the usage and scoring. So any night that she's having an off night, maybe she's like playmaking more, so that average potentials goes up a little bit. But I think, in my opinion, the prop line should be 3.5. I think 4 is a little bit too high for her, with having Plum, especially Chelsea Gray, and then Candace on the court with her. So I don't mind the under on that. And shout out to Underrated. He really likes this call. It's probably his special today.
Yep. I actually liked it last night whenever we were kind of picking each other's brains about some of this. I mean, you can see it's going to be Gray, Plum, and then fill in whoever.
Yep. But the only drawback is this is a high-powered offensive machine that puts up serious points, like you saw in the first game, and that's why the total is at 171, which is pretty high for WNBA. I think going forward all season, you're going to see all Vegas games pretty much in that high 60s to low 70, 170 implied totals. So no surprise there. Anything else? I think those are 2 core pieces that makes total sense to go with Kelsey Plum's second half points or PRA, and then the Jackie Young under assist. And then, if you want to take a stab at Candace first half points or fantasy, or Chelsea Gray's first half fantasy, I wouldn't blame you, but I'm going to minimize my exposure, like I said, to Vegas.
They did just bump Gray down to 5.5 assists. What do you think about that?
It was 6.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We always like her assist prop, right? But
I was definitely on the fence at 6, but 5.5, that's interesting.
It is, but We saw last season her line get down to that, and some games she just would go total score mode and not even pass. And now you throw in Candace Parker, who play makes. We know who can play make. It's just what Chelsea are you gonna get? Are you gonna get the standard playmaking Chelsea, or are you gonna get black hole Chelsea? Because if she sees those first 3 shots go in, the blinders are on, and she's not passing the rock. So, you like it?
I think now if you're going to consider a play for her, that's the one.
Okay, I'll put it, and then I'll say head to the first half fantasy.
Maybe about a 1.5 clamor, not a full 2.
I'll put Candace Parker in here. I know the community is on her for the narrative. I will not be playing her. I hope she clears though. I should put what you prefer the 6.5 points.
Yeah, Plum and Gray were just doing way too much playmaking in the first half, and she's just taking a lot of threes right now.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. All right, you ready to move on to Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's pull up their data from their game against Phoenix here. Okay, so man,
And Azra is out again today.
yeah, man, I'll say our Aussie hero Carly looked really good coming off the bench. I think she's going to continue to play a big role in this team, especially with her sister being out on maternity. And she's doing it all for the team when she's out there. So I think she's one you have to worry about eating into usage and scoring. So keep her in mind. But yeah, Canada in this game, she hooked us for her assist. She came out early playmaking. I think she finished with 5, right? Flat.
She had 5 at half. Yeah, a dirty hook again. It was so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the usage on this team is pretty spread out. I mean, NECA, to no surprise, led the team, but other than that, it was pretty spread out. Do you have any interest in NECA here? For her, I always just go to her fantasy. What do you want to do with her sister, who's probably going to get in foul trouble against Asia? And then, yeah, any of these other backcourt players like Lexi or Canada.
So initially, I was on a few unders for NECA here. I had interest in her rebounds when it was at 7, mostly just going back to that usage for her rebounding. It is wildly down. I mean, we thought it was down last year, but I think it was like 16 or 17% for the entire game. So they did adjust that. A little annoyed about that. And they did not give us an RA line for her today. But I think 2 things going well for this. One, she's going to see a lot of Miss Parker tonight. Parker knows exactly how NECA plays. They played alongside each other for a bit. Secondly, there's huge still potential blowout risk. I mean, it is a 13-point spread. And if she's one of those you can see it on her face player. When she's in the zone, when she's having a good game, it's clearly there. And when she checks out, it is all over her face. Like, she just doesn't care. All she does is run up and down the offense, passes a ball, lets Lexi in Canada do their thing, and then it just takes a back seat.
Look at this.
These bumps. Dude, I'm telling you, man, every time I have one queued up, I swear these get bumped. And then let's see. Tessno Play just asked about the 25.5 PRA line. Yeah, I actually had interest in the under, but they did bump it down to 25 flat. So Prize Picks is kind of on that, I'm assuming the field is also betting the unders here. I got to caution you, though. Even though it's a tough matchup, it's not a good spot for her. She kind of holds her own here. She doesn't have great games, but she never has like a really bad game against them either. So if their team's winning, if it's as competitive, it's going to be off of mostly her production. If it's blowing out and the game's getting lopsided, she's probably going way under.
Yeah, I think jumping on a second half unders, depending on how the game looks before they take it down, probably more favorable than the full game. I don't know. We'll have to see because there is a slight chance that Sparks put up a fight at home and they keep all the starters out there for majority of the game. So, and if they keep bumping their lines down, it might get to the point where it's too low, right, for the full game. So, okay. And then anything? I mean, what about her sister? I know Shanae is a popular talking point today for her unders. I will say that she started off slow in that first game against Phoenix, and then she came out dominating in the second half. So I know she burned some people with the second half unders because she was looking rough in the first half. What are your thoughts on her? I'm probably just gonna stay away.
Yeah, I'm not going to mess with her too much here because they are at home, and this is, I mean, that the game total concerns me a little bit for just unders in general. They ran a lot of offense through her in the third quarter. So if you're gonna do it, I think be bold and go under on her first half while all the Vegas players are playing at 110%. If she burns you, you know, it's gonna be there. I think it's gonna be a quick burn, or she's gonna pick up 2 early fouls and she's gonna sit, and the Sparks are just gonna go small, which they've been happy to do.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess if you think she's gonna get in foul trouble, especially early foul trouble, you could take the first half under. But if you're gonna do an under, it makes sense to do the full game and hope that she gets not only one in foul trouble, but two it blows out. So,
Yeah, and just to kind of put it in perspective, her second half production was on par with Griner's first half production.
yeah, she went off in that second half. Okay. And then what about Canada or Lexi here? Canada, I don't mind the unders on one of them because I mean they're gonna have a combination of Chelsea Gray or Jackie Young on them, so I don't mind taking some unders here. Do you have any lean or thoughts?
Probably Canada here, just because she's such a flake. And no, honestly, I can't put my foot down on either. This last game, I feel like Lexi fell into a bit of late production, even though her minutes were only about 22. And Canada just played so weird in that second half. You know, even though she played the entire second half, her fantasy was like non-existent. I think she had like 2 fantasy, didn't score any points, didn't do anything, no assists, no nothing.
Yeah, it was just the NECA Shanae show and then choosing between those two for overs or unders in that backcourt, it's probably too volatile because one of them could have a spike game and obviously it would destroy the other one. But you got to imagine if they're trailing by a lot early for most of the game, we should see Lexi take probably more than 5 threes here. And then obviously Carly off the bench. Do you have any interest in her 1.5 threes? Although historically, her 3-point shooting can be hard to trust at times. Very low percentage.
Sorry, I get disconnected for a second.
I was saying Lexi's 3-point shooting. Can we trust it? I think the volume will be there in a blowout if they're trailing. They're going to need 3-point shooting.
Sorry, I just get disconnected for a second. Can you hear me again?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. And you were asking about Lexi's threes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very low line to sweat. We got to assume that they're probably playing from behind here as well. And Canada really isn't that great of a 3-point shooter. So I think Lexi would make sense in that, and she could also fall into garbage run or garbage time at the end as well if the game's blown out.
Yeah, I mean, she's gonna dominate the 3-point shooting on the team. Besides, Carly off the bench, so it's a low line. Like I said, if they're trailing, she should probably take more than 5 threes, but it's hard to trust her 3-point shooting. Anything from the Sparks? I mean, right now we're just sitting on some unders potentially. Are you gonna do a wait and see for second half?
Probably a little more wait and see here. I mean, they really didn't give us a whole lot to work with for the Sparks.
Yeah, this team is tricky because it's a new look, and we only have one game to go off of for them. So
Yeah, and I want to Lexi's, full game fantasy as well, but her only playing 22 minutes. We've definitely gotten Lexi last year where she is a ghost town in the second half, so I don't want to
Yep.
depend on that either. I don't know. The Sparks are just going to be a weird team all year, and I haven't seen anybody or anything that really impresses me or something that's consistent. And they won't give us the stock props. So that was my favorite for NECA all the time.
Yeah, I know. And her free throw props too. All right, we'll see what chat's got. They're talking about Jackie's assist getting bumped down. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Test and play. Oh yeah, you talked about that. Jermaine, yeah, Jackie's bumped. Their assist is bumped down. Yeah, Quinn. Prize Fix is watching. They probably like the intro song if they are. Jermaine. Hey, thanks Jermaine for reminding me of calling that out. Jermaine says that Jackie's assist is still at 4 on Underdog. It's a good call out. Wait, nope. Underdog pulled it from the board, he said. So that usually means they're adjusting it and they're gonna probably repost it at 3.5. Okay. Like I said, I think the 3.5 is the correct line. That's the more appropriate line. Yeah. This game, probably I'm gonna stick to first half and second half, and mainly focus on on the other game for full game props. So, anything else from this game?
Not really. If you still want some Jackie under, her RA is still taxed at 8.5.
For who?
For Jackie.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good call it. She can get random spike rebound games, but a lot of mouths to feed on the glass in that team. So, did she finish with in the last game? How many rebounds?
I think she had 5. Yeah. Yeah, 5 rebounds.
That's like her usual, right? That's like her. I feel like every game
Yeah.
it's like 4 to 6 rebounds. Yeah. There was one other thing I wanted to point out. Yeah, Seattle still put up quite a bit of points in the paint on Vegas. They had 34 points, and I know in the first half they came out scoring a lot in the paint. So yeah, doesn't just because they're going against Asia doesn't mean the Vegas is like the best interior defense. Like they're still going to give the points there. So I don't know. You're really hoping that Sinead just gets in foul trouble and blows out. Oh yeah, and then the Sparks in the first game, surprisingly, maybe it's just because they played Phoenix, and maybe going forward, Phoenix is just not causing turnovers. But Sparks, they held on to the ball pretty well. They only had 7 team turnovers, so that was kind of interesting. Something to keep in mind. Maybe maybe that's just how they are. They're going to be a team that's below average for turnovers, which could hurt stock potential for opposing defenses. So we'll see. Maybe it's just Phoenix defense not causing turnovers, especially with Tarasi out there and Sophie not playing full minutes. Okay, let's do a little team card or stream card here. We can keep it like either 2 or 3 picks since we don't have a full board and we're a lot of the plays we're gonna do are gonna be second half plays. So you want to start us off?
Yeah, let's go with. Let me see. Let me ask you: if you were going first, would it be Tarasi?
No.
Okay. Then let's go with BG's full game fantasy.
Okay. And then let's just run it back. Let's stack that game and hope we get a shootout, close game. Let's just run it back with Feezy, full game fantasy. And then if you want a flyer 3 pick that we both agree on, I'm leaning Shep under points or PRA first half. And since they took the Jackie or bumped the Jackie, don't want that. Or the neck under rebounds. You have a preference?
I have quite a bit of both of them. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's just throw both in there and make it a 4 pick, and then you can obviously we can just do the 2 pick for the stream too as well. But still that in there, and then Shep. Do we want to? Since her points are still at 4 flat, do we want to take the under on the juiced PRA, even though like we know she's gonna rack up RA?
Yeah, I still like it. I mean, honestly, with both Miller and Feezy missing out on first half minutes, there's still so much production that I think still can be taken away from her. Like, no joke, she could end with 5 to 6 offensive usage in the first half this game.
Yeah, and I I'm probably gonna do the same pairing I did last time. Her under PRA and over on Diamond's Miller's first half fantasy as well. I think it's solid. If in a card that doesn't have Feezy's fantasy, I like that correlation as well. That worked out last time. And like I said, with Diamond playing minimal minutes, 8 minutes in the first half, and Feezy too. And Shep still stayed under her first half PRA. I mean, like Shep in that second quarter had so many minutes with both Feezy and Diamond off the court, and she still couldn't get it done.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, if I was gonna do another card, I would probably throw in either the Dino's first half with a card without BG, either Dino's first half PRA or her 3-point prop. But we can do her first half PRA here. Because I like to take her for first half only because she tends to disappear in the second half because I think just being her age and how old she is, old Dino runs out of gas and steam in the second half.
Definitely.
So that's a nice little game stack. First half prop, get in and out quickly if you want for that. So, all right, guys. No, can't stream tomorrow, unfortunately. But we have 2 games, and the 2 games are at first glance 2 or 4 bad teams. So we can quickly mention quick shout outs for anything to look out for that, since we don't have any props. Oh no, we have Washington in the mix here. So yeah, Washington at Chicago and Dallas at Seattle. Even though I can't stream tomorrow, we're gonna be doing content on it all day. I just have work obligations. So yeah, we'll definitely break it down the same, and provide all those picks tomorrow in the Discord. But for the stream purposes, yeah, I think I can't figure out Chicago yet. I need to keep seeing more games. Are they just playing bad teams? Are they actually going to be a surprise team and exceed expectations? I think Big Liz has helped them tremendously in the front court and filling in somewhat the loss of Candace. But tough matchup here against Washington. And then Dallas and Seattle. How juiced is Jewel going to be this game? I think they're going to give her the Ryan Howard treatment. Like seeing Ryan Howard come out first game, 24 shots, seeing Jewel, how many shots and usage she had, they're probably going to juice her the same, right? Probably 19.5 points, somewhere around there, 20.
Oh yeah, no, 20 and a half at least. I'm thinking
Yeah.
she's gonna open it.
I can't do it. If they do that, I can't. I can't do it. I love Jewel, but I feel like I have Jewel figured out pretty well. She's a streaky shooter as well, and she could come out even with all the usage in the world and yeah, just not get there due to inefficient shooting. So I don't want to rely on her shooting to get over such a high line. And then yeah, we'll have to figure out what to do with the Rike. It's gonna be the Rike versus Jewel show. So with two very juiced lines, both of them probably at over 20-point prop. Anything standing out to you? The shout out. I know we don't have props, but we pretty much know what the lines are gonna be.
No, I mean, I don't think I have anything that I'm gonna plant my flag on yet. I do have. I don't want to spoil it. I think a few sleeper plays depending on what they drop the board at. So I'm not gonna shout those out just yet. We'll have some of that in the Discord discussion here. But I think that Jewel is somebody that Jewel, and if they give us Turner props, those are the two that I'm going to be looking out for. Found some interesting data for them, and I think even if we don't have a stream tomorrow, if they give us props early, I'm going to have a video out for tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Perfect.
Yeah, this last week, honestly, we just kind of wanted to get this first week under our belt, see at least one game of action before we start, building our game plans and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll at least have a general breakdown, and hopefully we get props early because we have for the last couple of days. So fingers crossed.
Sounds good. Yeah, Eric's Prop Stop, his YouTube channel. Look out for that video and going forward for any early lean videos. J. Cole and Jermaine, I'll share our stream cards in the Discord. And then, yeah, obviously we're going to build our rank list and drop a few more cards after discussing the slate some more. All right, and then we're back. When are we? Is this traditional No Games Monday? Yep.
Yeah, I think
for
this
stream
is
wise,
like the last.
The last what?
I think it's the last week of the no games. I think. Nope. Actually, we got a couple more weeks of it. So enjoy these Mondays off, everyone.
Yeah, so we'll be back on Tuesday for stream with a big slate. Nice big 4-game slate. That should be good. And yeah, and then no games on Wednesday. And then so 2 streams next week, Tuesday and Thursday. Only 1 game Thursday. Perfect. Okay, well maybe then since there's 4 games on Friday, can't stream. Maybe we'll and there's only 1 game on Thursday. We'll break down the Friday games as well, and we'll just clump them all together and make it like a 5-game slate breakdown. So
yeah, that's game 1 of the finals. So I figured they were probably going to do that.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Yeah, like I said, if you're not part of a Discord, join us in the link below. And yeah, let's win today. You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling it, man. We have a long time to wait. We got about 4.5 hours until lock, unfortunately, but we're gonna get in Discord here at some point and get it going.
Let's do it. Yeah, we'll drop the rank list probably somewhat early, and then if any late plays like an hour before lock drop, we'll just add those individually. So keep an eye out for that, and if you're part of the Discord. And yeah, good luck, everyone. I hope we crush it. Oh yeah, Memorial Day. Yep, that's what. Yep.
Be safe out there.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Let's fucking go. We about to go big. Kill him with the brass pig. Let's fucking go. We going out blazing.
Let's get hunting.
This is population. About to go big. Kill him with the brass pig. About to go big. Kill him with the brass pig. 24/7 researching, it's all a fantasy. But if I make the right plays, it pays automatically. Bankroll showing that I know it don't strategy. On a winning streak, I'm stacking a dose of the bookies, all get mad at me. Confident with how it plays, not clicking on a flex today. 10 times the money, and we all about to get paid. Arrogant shots on the stream, they be killing it. Never gonna stop it, they like if you feeling it. Digging the players, they all never time. You can't make up your mind and just go with your gut. Fantasizing Sasha Clown. Gabby Williams said, watch your mouth. They 1 and they 2, I played the over, they come through. Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum, pick them both, we stacking them. Going big to the maximum, just push them in, we cashing them. Let's fucking go. We about to go big. Kill him with the brass pig. Let's fucking go. We going out blazing. This is population. About to go big. Kill him with the brass pig. About to go big. Kill him with the brass pigs. We about to go big.
This is the game.
We going out blazing.
Let's get hunting.
This is population.